Welcome to the Tucson NetworKings podcast. I'm your host, Gordy Seward, along with master networker and sales guru, Don Zavis. Together, we talk about how to get the most of your business networking in Southern Arizona. We'll discuss tips, tricks, what to do, what not to do, with some amazing people that know how to build lasting business relationships from this thing called business networking. So strap in and enjoy the show.
Welcome, everyone, to the Tucson Networkings podcast. We are back from our, we'll call it a summer break.
Hiatus,
yes. We're going to call this season 2 now. This is our season launch here.
We survived season 1.
Yes, we survived season 1. My name is Gordy I'm an account executive with First Digital Telecom. I do a lot of networking out there, and we have Mr. Don Zavis.
Did you really have to look at your thing to get my name?
Don Zavis. No, your title. Don Zavis, sales training, sales trainer extraordinaire. I think
extraordinary.
Is what you told me to write
you
down.
Include extraordinary in every opportunity.
I had a hard time spelling it, but our guest today is Nick Smith. Nick is he's an insurance agent, family man, an all-around good guy. So we're proud to have him on our show today. I nicely filled in last minute. We had a last-second cancellation.
Yes, thank you, by the way. Great, no problem.
I met Nick, probably over a year now, at a Marana Chamber event. Mm-hmm. And he's been networking ever since. So, Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, and kind of what you do?
Yeah, Nick Smith, American Family Insurance, the one and only Nick Smith.
Yes.
Not to be confused with all the other
Nick Smith. Yeah. Just been doing insurance for about 3 years now. Really enjoy the business. Networking is a huge part of my business. Really enjoy getting out there, connecting with people, finding out what their needs are, and really finding the right coverage at the right price for them.
Okay, the insurance guy stuff, huh?
Yeah, that's the insurance stuff.
But you're out there networking everywhere. So how has networking helped in building your business?
Well, I think that networking helps in a lot of ways. I mean, I get to hang out with you guys. What a wonderful day I get to do this today.
We want people to like the show.
Yeah. Also, I get to meet a bunch of different people. I get to help out in different organizations. Without networking, I wouldn't find out about, certain needs that are out there that I can contribute by myself as Nick Smith or as the Nick Smith agency, So I'm able to help in a couple different ways.
Okay. Now, before the Nick Smith agency, you had you were working out of another office or something, weren't you? We don't have to go into what that was. How did you, and that's how I met you, is through that. So how did you turn that into, basically the reason why I got you here is I wanted you to tell your story about how you went from a small working for an agency all the way up into building Nick Smith Agency. And I saw you do it the whole time through networking. How has it really helped your business?
Yeah,
give us some examples of how it really helped your business grow.
Yeah, so I started out just selling life insurance, buying leads, cold calling. Don Zavis here would be proud of that. Pick up the phone, start dialing.
Absolutely, dialing for dollars.
Then I went to Allstate. I had a great time there, learned a lot. And then I went to a brokerage here in town, great time. And all through there, I was building up my network, meeting Don at the Sands Club. Yeah. Gordy, you were so, I remember that first time that we met at the beginners
orientation.
Orientation. We were right there by the kitchen, and you showed me the podcast, and you're like, hey, I'm like, I don't really know how to download this. You're like, help me out there, and
sharing donuts.
So we're sharing donuts. It was great, and that's the type of stuff that I think that networking for me is very uncomfortable to begin with. It's I have to build myself up, and I'm kind of putting myself out there, and if people like me, then they'll potentially do business with me, and if they don't like me, then I'll never hear from them again. So if I'm not getting business, then that's always kind of the squirrel cage in your head. But you just never know where your next deal is going to come from, especially from networking. Making sure you don't know what you said is going to affect somebody else in a conversation that they're having a week from now, and being like, oh, that guy Nick Smith, it's an easy name to remember.
Right.
That guy sells that product.
You also, one thing I noticed, you had a talent. You say it makes you uncomfortable. You had a talent of staying memorable. Typically, your introductions, typically you'll do a 30-second introduction or whatever, but I always seem to remember yours. You were always, those come off the top of your head, or you plan them out, or how do you go about that?
Well, usually I like to just come off the top of my head with them. I've gone to some coaching that says you should be really consistent, and that thought makes sense, being consistent. But then there's another thought process that says being yourself, being unique, and
be authentic.
That's really how I want to come off. Is I want to have a basic blueprint, but I want to, if you're getting Nick Smith, if I'm telling you my little spiel here at the Sands Club where I get a little certificate for
having the best personal introduction. Yep.
There was this one time at the Sands where I said, "Hi, my name's Nick Smith, and I smell." I was like, I sell insurance. And I think I got the award for that day.
You did, and I actually remember saying, because we always say be memorable. And I was like, there is no one who is not, you're going to wear that I smell moniker forever, proudly. And that was true, that be memorable.
Smell insurance.
When you think about insurance, nobody wants to talk about it unless they have something happen. And if they have something happen, then you're the best. You're their savior. They're their knight in shining armor when their car or fire or something terrible like that. And even in insurance, there's a lot of insurance people, and it's kind of utilitarian, and a lot of it is kind of the same. But I think if people understand the concept that if it's important, it's insured. That's it. If it's important, whatever's important in your life, you better have it be insured. And you did a great job in just putting a fun face on it, on something very utilitarian, very perfunctory, and if you want to clear out a party, tell people you're an insurance salesman, right? But that wouldn't happen with you, because people don't see you through that same dry eye. So.
Yeah,
that is really to your credit. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a fact. That's kind of how I see myself, and that's how I feel more comfortable when I'm out there networking, when I'm my authentic self, and just kind of sometimes being a little goofy, and sometimes just sitting back and listening to what everybody else has to say.
Okay,
being memorable.
Fantastic. All right. On that note, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the perfunctory.
You like
Nick
that,
Smith.
It's my way.
The Tucson NetworKings podcast is in search of a full-time sponsor. Let me tell you what's included. You get 3 episodes per month, 3 commercials per episode, including logo and professional voiceover message, 1 mention on the actual podcast with some witty banter, and your business name will be added to the sponsored by title on every podcast format. If you'd like to take advantage of this awesome opportunity, contact Gordy at 520-329-2923 or TucsonNetworkKings@gmail.com.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining us. We know there's a lot of things out there that are vying for your attention out there in the world, and networking is too damn important not to be involved with. And today we have Nick Smith as our guest. We're talking about the world of insurance, but more specifically, how to take something that maybe isn't something everybody wants to talk about and putting a happy and memorable face on it. So, Nick, you were just kind of telling us about some introductions that you've done. How do you morph from, you meet someone and you morph into maybe a sales conversation? Because most people, what we find in networking, especially even with insurance, is, the shaking of hands, the exchanging of cards, that's pretty smooth and stuff. How do you morph that into maybe a conversation about some areas that you can help them?
Yeah, that's a good question, Don. I think that what sets me apart, at least what I believe in my professional business sets me apart, is my follow-up. So we have that conversation, we have the exchange of cards, but then also I usually send an email, I send a text, like here's my personal number,
Right.
you know, and then I invite to see if you want to go and have coffee or if you want to do some lunch or something like that. And then at that point, then, you know, the other person knows that I'm a real business professional here in town. I'm local. I'm not just somebody that's showing up to these things, handing out cards, trying to force my business down your throat. And somebody that wants to actually connect and build a community here in town.
I think a lot of it too is that you are visible. Most people only see their insurance agent maybe once they get started, and then literally never see him again. But I think when you see somebody, you know, frequently or every couple of months, or you kind of fall across them in an event, there's that much more of a connection. There's more of that, you know, personal relationship than just the talking head on the phone once in a blue moon.
Right.
So on the flip side of that, do you ever get, Nick, why did my rates go up?
Oh yeah, I mean, if
At a networking
I wouldn't be in insurance if I didn't hear that question. Why are my rates going up? So,
but I mean, do you get the business questions, the negative business questions, and at the networking events, and how do you handle that?
yeah, I actually enjoyed those negative questions, or it's a pain point that I think allows me to kind of show my humanity. Often when I hear somebody say like, oh, my rates went up and my agent didn't do anything, or they just said that that's what it was, then, you know, I like to just sit there and listen to them and find out what their perspective on the rate increase is. You know, some people think it's because of this or because of that. Everybody's got their theories.
We went through 5 windshields in 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
The fact is that you had an auto accident that cost you $50,000. You know?
Exactly.
Like,
It couldn't be them 9 DUIs I have that.
right. So, and there's also people out there with a perfect driving record that get rate increases as well. But I mean, you just have to find out what their actual pain point is and kind of talk it through it with them. And I think I often say things like, you know, even if you don't go with me, you know, this is good information for you to take back to your other agent or anything like that. So I think that just having those conversations is good for the industry in general.
Agree. Absolutely. The rising tide raises all ships.
Education's always good.
Well, the more they hear about it, the more they realize that, like you said, the perfect's got a perfect driving record. It'd be like, why should they raise me? I've never done anything, and yet it's gone up. I mean, I think that's a legitimate question.
And I think someone who can explain why in a normal way that everyone can understand that you're that much better than the other guy is just going to tell them, well, it is the way it is.
Right.
Kind of off topic, but what networking groups have you gone through and used and over the past year and a half, 2 years, whatever it's been?
Yeah, I like to I like to keep it to 3 networking groups.
Okay.
I think there's only one of me.
That's
so I can only be at 3 networking groups a week. So I did the Sands Club with Don. That was actually really where I got my
that's where you and I
wet.
met like 3 years ago, 4 years ago probably.
Yeah.
When we first met. Yeah, because it was 2000 was pandemic time. So I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was there, and I was talking to one of the girls that works at the Sands Club, and she's just like, why aren't you going over there? And I'm like, oh, I'm kind of nervous. And she's like, just get over there. And I was like, okay. So I walked over there and then just said my spiel from the back, and you were so welcoming at the time. And yeah, it was awesome. So I did the Sands Club. We have a little group that we do together at Marlowe's group. That's what I call it. I do the current Sands Club group, Marana Chamber. I've done BNI before. So, yeah, there's a number of them that I really enjoy. And, you know, I think that with networking too, at least for me, it ebbs and flows. So sometimes like you're really connecting with the people that are there and sometimes you're not. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, giving it a little break and maybe finding a different group or, you know, it's all about, you know, finding the people that resonate with you, at least for me. That's in my experience.
What's besides that, what is one thing that you would make the perfect networking event group?
I like most groups. I think I like...
And you don't have to tell us the name of it.
Sure.
Because of course it would be mine, so I don't want you
Oh, yeah.
I don't want
you already knew that.
Of course, yeah. I don't want to make you.
We're going to have to open up this doorway a little bit further for him to get out to. Yeah.
Is there one that's more effective?
I think they're all pretty effective. I guess really what I like a lot in networking groups is like structure. And
Yes.
so like BNI, I enjoy the structure of it. Maybe it's a little too structured. And like some other groups that I've been to are a little less structured than I'd like, and I'd like to stick into a time schedule. We're all busy. We're all business professional.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I don't know. That's what I think a great group would be.
Well, it's interesting because you're right. There's a lot of these have a different approach. Some are, grab a beer, wander around. There's nothing wrong with that. There's some like a BNI type or an LBN that are very structured, from 10:05 to 10:10 we do this. One of the things that we've always tried to do, and I think you responded positively, is we tried to give an educational component so that, just your coming, there's a value in it. You hope that they're going to make, the three connections that we suggest, but just coming gives you an education. You're going to learn something. You're going to have a strong interaction, and really just, again, keeping yourself aware, being in the public eye. So many people do everything they can to keep themselves a secret, and they're so good at it that it's killing them.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to be out there. It's, absence does not make the heart grow fonder. It just makes you easier to forget.
Not networking, yeah.
All right, on that note, we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back with Nick Smith. The Tucson NetworKings podcast is in search of a full-time sponsor. Let me tell you what's included. You get 3 episodes per month, 3 commercials per episode, including logo and professional voiceover message, 1 mention on the actual podcast with some witty banter, and your business name will be added to the sponsored by title on every podcast format. If you'd like to take advantage of this awesome opportunity, contact Gordy at 520-329-2923 or TucsonNetworkKings@gmail.com. All right, we're back with the Tucson Network Kings podcast with our guest, Nick Smith of American Family Insurance, a networker that's been hitting hard. It does a great job networking. He hits a lot of networking circles and does a fantastic job there. You mentioned earlier in the podcast, there's one of you. And I know you got some kids, and I know your wife and I serve on a nonprofit board together. So she's really busy. She works full time. How do you balance all that, man, and still get the networking done and still run a full time business? And how do you balance? Any tips on balancing?
Yeah, I think that you got to wake up early because there's only 24 hours in a day. So my wife and I are usually up around 4 a.m. and that's when we have time to connect as a husband and wife.
Okay.
And so we do that, and then usually one of us hits the gym around 5:30, and then from there, the kids are up, and it's regular business. So.
All right, start early. I like it.
Get to the battlefield early. Absolutely.
All right. Where do you go from here? I mean, you just opened. You're having a ribbon cutting soon. We don't know what date when this will air, but I know you're having a ribbon cutting at your office soon.
Yep.
You plan on growing your business. Will you ever stop networking, or what's the future of Nick Smith and networking in Tucson?
Cool. Yeah. I think that what I see for my business, like my agency, is scaling up to having possibly 5 to 7 agents working for me on the sales side, and a couple others on the service side, and making sure that our business is growing while we're also taking care of our current customers and fulfilling their needs. As far as networking, I think that what I really want to do is I have a killer office manager. She's great, and I want to bring her out a little bit. Okay. It's definitely not in her comfort zone to be out there at the networking events.
Okay.
But, I want to expose her a little bit to that, because as we scale, I think that one of the important things is going to be to have more people representing our agency out there in different networking groups.
And know you exist. I mean, just you're new. I mean, you've got a blank slate. You've got to now share with the world we're here.
Right.
Yeah. So you want to get out there even more then.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
The business is going to grow that way for sure. Any tips and tricks that you can share as far as what to do? We mentioned, be memorable.
Yeah.
Have a funny little intro.
I think
if it fits your personality.
Yeah. Whatever fits your personality. Some people are stern, or some people have a very strong presence. I'm just kind of more relaxed. But for me, I think do what makes you feel comfortable, because at the end of the day, they're either going to do business with you or not. And you just got to try to touch as many people as possible.
Be authentic. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Do you have anything more to add?
Well, I have a new insurance agent.
Hey, look at that.
now
There we
go.
Deal's done during the commercials.
He's going to be working with Team Zavis. We worked that already out, so that was a good utilization of his time. Just because I've had an opportunity to be facilitating at the sessions that you were at, you have a very, you're right, you have a very calm, relaxed demeanor where people will just start talking to insurance. When you say you're an insurance agent, most people are like, no, get back, get away.
That's true. Yeah.
But it's funny because I would watch people and you can see you can't hear the words, but you can see the interaction where, I could see you're handing them the card, right? And all of a sudden now they're leaning forward to you and now you're and then you're writing something down like they're asking you a question. You don't see that a lot. Most insurance conversation, like, oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.
So
I'll call you if I.
Yeah, I think that there's just
I'll
kind
get
of
a hold of you.
there's just kind of a sense that people will just talk to you.
Yeah.
And everybody, I think, down deep has that insurance question. Do I have too much? Do I have too little? And that's when I always say in the insurance world, if it's important and it's insured. And yet people have tons of important stuff that is just absolutely at peril. So I think that's a testament to your just natural presence.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, Nick. So if you want to tell us how we can get a hold of you, phone number,
Awesome.
website, whatever it is.
Yeah, I have an email address, nsmith6@amfam.com. I also have a phone number for my office is 520-477-5526.
Right.
All
And
right.
and by the way, you
Fantastic.
can always reach out to Gordy and I. We'll make sure you get that information as well.
And we also want to invite everyone to the third Friday of the month networking event.
Yep.
All the details can be found on networkingtucson.com.
Yes.
And if you have a networking event you'd like to let us know about, please email Tucson NetworKings. It's 1K in there. It's one word, networkings @gmail.com. Other than that, Nick, we thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks a lot, guys, for the invite.
Yeah,
Appreciate
today
it.
was a good day. Look, if
was
nothing
easy.
else happens, I got a new agent.
That's right. Awesome. Stay connected, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've just experienced the Tucson NetworKings podcast. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe for more great tips about networking in Southern Arizona. If you'd like to leave a question, comment, or future topic, you can email them to TucsonNetworKings@gmail.com. Also, if you'd like to know more about all of the networking events happening in town, make sure and check out networkingtucson.com. That's networkingtucson.com. Know where to go.